What is AI going to do to SEO? Here's how you get mentioned in AI. It's a must in 2026.
Okay, let's try something else.
Today, we've spoken with Christopher Hofman Laursen, an SEO specialist who's been in the game for more than 20 years and has recently started up a new agency called No Coffee. We had a very interesting talk where we took a critical look at current hype marketing trends like GEO, discussed how to build lasting success instead of only chasing quick wins, and much more, such as how to do SEO in 2026 and the AI-human hybrid models used to produce content today. Joining us, we also have Mohammad Dadkhah, CEO of Search Royals, who comes with some great insights and perspective.
Let's get into it.
All right, thank you so much for coming. So we're going to start off a bit strong here. There seems to be some beef with what you call like hype marketeers. Can you talk a little bit about that and like which practices are you referring to?
If we talk about hype marketing, you probably refer to GEO versus SEO, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's. I usually spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, and I read through I spend too much time on the feed.
Yeah.
And sometimes, after 20 years in SEO, I just start to see the same things, the same dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
I start to see when people talk about something, it's like, oh, yeah, but that's the same conviction as we talked about voice search back in 2019 or 2018, I can remember. That was when we talked about AMP. When we talked about, of course, mobile first is a thing, but there was a head start back in 2015 where it's every time you have to drop everything because something new and shiny comes up, and the old framework doesn't work anymore, and everybody looks in a new direction, and it's the same words, it's the same type of person. At this time, I've just been a little bit surprised that there were actually some of my favorite people out there started talking about GEO, and I was like, but you don't know better than this. And I don't know if it was because they didn't know better or if it was because now I have an agency and I need to make some extra bucks, and SEO is just a stable income. Something new has to happen. I don't know, but GEO definitely has been, for me, hype. A lot of it has been hype marketing.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and that's something that like essentially clients should be aware of, that it's like this shiny new thing, and like don't believe these like GEO agencies and whatnot, and this like whole hype thing. Not get dragged into it. Like, what would you advise clients to do?
It's just a very, very strange conversation. We don't know where it starts. You don't know where it ends. But sometimes you have to say what you think. I would also say that as SEOs, Mohammad, he's been doing probably hundreds of SEO cases. I've been doing lots of SEO cases, but I think we're still talking from different contexts. We still have different experiences, different things which works.
Perspectives, essentially.
Perspectives. So maybe when we talk about SEO and what you have to do in SEO, we just start from different fundamentals, different ground. And definitely some of these GEO people who had been doing SEO for many years, I think some of them, they were just right for 10, 20 years about SEO. And suddenly they also believe that they're right about GEO because they can see their own behavior. They hear that their grandmother is using ChatGPT. Suddenly everything just falls into place. Everybody must be using AI now because somebody in my surroundings do.
I fully understand, and it's very true. And it's not just GEO, it's also AIO, AEO, all these different acronyms. But isn't it just basically like chasing an opportunity? I mean, if we look at what Ahrefs is doing, they're also trying to seize an opportunity by having a very expensive subscription to this brand radar, getting the insight of AI citation. Isn't it okay that somebody actually just seizes the moment and say, I can make a quick buck, getting this hyped up and so on? Is there something to it that they actually are doing differently than the traditional SEO? Or is it just hype?
I mean, there surely are some things, right? I mean, the agencies talking about that ChatGPT can't read JavaScript, for instance, right? I mean, that's probably a real thing. But there are also definitions, GEO definitions like chunking, where you say, and this is actually something we've done in SEO. We just call. I mean, that's like a new naming convention for things we've been doing for many years. And I surely understand the agenda, because I'm saying you have all new faces in the industry who didn't do SEO before. They see an opportunity because GEO. The user behavior is changing, right? There are people using AI tools now, also for research, which could be done on Google, of course. So that's of course an opportunity. That's the same opportunity, or as if you saw something on social media or crypto or whatever. Then you have of course SEO agencies. Yes, they see an opportunity here because they can actually start talking about something which their clients also need. This means extra business. You have the tools. I mean, Semrush was just acquired by Adobe. I mean, of course, they need to have a tool which looks at AI performance. I mean, that's what C-level is talking about at the moment. How are we doing on ChatGPT, right? So all of those, they go into the market, of course, because there's some money to be made. But there are also some people who are, not so aware. In the mix, in the jungle, there's some people who don't know.
A lot of noise, essentially. Right?
It's a lot of noise. I mean,
I get it.
So, and that's what I try to clarify, and I can hopefully profit from 20 years doing SEO, and seen a lot of things happening, and come with my suggestions to what's going on.
Speaking of like new agencies, so like recently you teamed up with 2 other SEOs and started this like new business called No Coffee. So firstly, I'm just curious about like the name, essentially, No Coffee. Like, why No Coffee, and sort of like what's the main selling point? Is this? I assume it's not going to be GEO high marketing.
I mean, I spent 10 years on different agencies, and I think working in an agency is, of course, it can be very stressful because you need to deliver a lot, but it's also a place where there's a very nice ambience, because you also need to make sure that the consultants have a good time, so they stick around, so they don't bow under pressure. And I think always that coffee machine. I mean, there's always this 10,000 euro coffee machine in the middle of the room, and everybody's talking about coffee, especially when it doesn't work. And it's just like, I mean, we do spend too much time on coffee instead of talking about the client work, instead of talking about
So
the also marketing.
Pure business, essentially. That's sort of.
I mean, the idea on one side was to move the focus away from coffee machines to doing real work, but also I think coffee machines was maybe something as simple of spending money on a lot of things which didn't have to do with what the client is paying you for, right? A big location in the center of Copenhagen. I know you live outside Copenhagen. This is probably not so expensive, but I mean, center of Copenhagen, lots of people.
Football stadium.
Yeah,
they need to make that money, that bread back.
Actually, I think there were 4 guys who had rented just too big an office from the beginning. It was like, fuck, we really need to make this.
You definitely put that pay on the customer's invoice.
But also, project managers, and especially, I think the most dangerous thing for an agency are project managers which don't have the digital skills. That is super dangerous, because they will also be a barrier between the digital specialist and the client. So that was actually, I spent a lot of time thinking about if I was going to do an agency today, just a white canvas, I would focus on the work, and I would focus on, people with experience. I mean, of course, if you're doing TikTok marketing, you don't have a lot of experience. If you're doing AI, you don't have many years of experience. It's not about the years. It's more about, okay, can we put a lot of skillful people together? Freelance consultants, and can we actually make it work as an agency? So that was actually the beginning of the idea, and Then I met up with Søren Risager at SEO Day last time for breakfast.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, is 2025 then, is that like a good time to start a new agency? Essentially, is there like enough business out there to start off? And I also want to hear your opinion here.
Yeah, I would like to hear Mohammed's opinion about this.
you can start a business at any time nowadays if you just have. Listen, by the end of the day, you just need to think about this. So the market is huge enough for the entire SEO and whether it's an SEO agency or whether it's Google Ads agency, the market is so huge that there's enough room for everybody. Especially if you are just a freelance consultant or just small time agency, you don't need 500 customers in order to make a good business. By the end of the day, you maybe just need the 10 correct customers on a retainer, maybe like, let's say 10,000, 10K a month. And then 10 of those, you have 100K a month. And those 10, you can actually manage this just by one person. You can manage that. So the market is huge enough. The question is whether you're offering something that is either better than others or set up in a different way. So you basically have these like either you're the cheapest, the fastest, the biggest, or whatever.
I mean, I think it depends on what your agency structure is going to be like, because it can be very hard to run an agency because you don't always have a full booking of every specialty, and that's just the worst thing when you're forced to say, okay, we have some time available for so many campaigns, so let's try to push that to the client instead of just looking at what does the client need. So I'm very envious of the agencies who knows how to scale, and that means that they are super focused on their ICP, right? Their ideal customer profile. They're super focused on the type of solution, for instance, Shopify, and they just have, it's just like a Ford production belt. They're doing the same thing every time for the client. I'm super envious for that kind of
system
for that kind of system.
Yeah, fair enough. It's okay. All right. So now it's time for a fun little game that we prepared for you both. Essentially, we asked ChatGPT to combine both of your brains and then asked it to come up with 3 points for an SEO strategy in 2026. So, and I want to hear if this like Frankenstein SEO monster holds up to scrutiny. So here's the first. You go first. Yeah. Or maybe I should say like the Hofka.
The Hofka. Excellent.
So, hey, Mark.
The Hofka brain.
So the first thing it came up with is build authority assets instead of more content. Google's next year will double down on real authority signals, not topical blobs, not AI-scented filler. Create 5 to 10 flagship assets that people actually reference. Promote them through email, social, and structured outreach. These become link magnets long after launch. What do you think about that model?
He didn't want to start.
Oh, sorry.
Why is he was like hiding?
Christopher, then go right ahead.
Well, I mean, then I have to choose between the two, right? That's the thing. More content or more authority.
It was build authority assets instead of more content. So focus more on the authority.
Yeah, I mean, SEO questions are super hard because, as the joke goes, it depends every time. Everything is taken out of context. I would say though that I've seen now that Google has just stopped indexing pages when they're not special enough, right? When they're not unique enough, or especially when your site doesn't have enough authority.
We have a tool for that.
Yeah,
yeah, we can get back to that.
That's super relevant. And so I think it's also, if you're already seen as an authoritative site, then of course you can still produce a lot of content and win as the domain will beat other domains. So that makes sense. But if you are a site which actually lacks authority, and that it could have been different some years ago, before all this AI crap content came out, then actually the strategy could be different. It could actually be about boosting your authority, and there I would say, it doesn't matter how much content you produce. I mean, it's really more about linkable assets. So I think it depends a little bit on where are you, how are you seen by Google in order to make your move.
I mean, which stage are you in? I mean, if you have, first of all, one cannot do without the other. And if you are a newly started website, then it doesn't matter how much links you get to your website. You basically need to have content first. If you are a small website, then you can go build authority. You cannot just put that in one question that covers all, because like you said, it depends on which stage you are in your journey. And I give a very good example for this. 4 years ago, I had Dan Domain. They reached out to me and they wanted to talk to me about the link building, right? I looked up their domain on Ahrefs. I saw that they had like 8 million backlinks from 2,000 different websites. And I was like, what? You have a domain rating of 88 or 90 or something. Domain rating very high. So what do you need link building for? But how about fixing your title tag, or maybe a little bit internal links and schema markups and so on, or maybe creating more landing pages instead? So it really, really depends on where you are. I would say if you are starting up fresh, then you need to start getting some content on your website. And then after that, focus on link building. But if you are very big website, then you need to focus more on content instead of just link building.
All right. Right. So the next one, optimize for search plus chat engines, not just blue links. I'm just reading exactly as ChatGPT, like, so AI-led search interfaces, Google AI's Overview, OpenAI Search, Perplexity, and soon Apple Spotlight-style search are shifting discovery away from classic SERPs. Create content shaped for extraction, clean section, unambiguous answers, explicit frameworks, and data that the AI can safely quote.
I guess you can go first now.
We're warming up now.
Yeah. Actually, just today I read. I think it was a post from Matt Diggity that he quoted a case study, like 2 million different. And they actually mentioned something about if you have links inside the article, not necessarily a good thing, or not necessarily a good thing to have links to those articles and so on. I would say one of the things, and going back to what Christopher has also said, start focusing on the basic. Like start focusing on having content on your website, having some useful information that actually benefits the user. We all know this. This is old stuff. This is ancient stuff. Now, focusing on that to begin with, that is where I would do. I wouldn't necessarily stress too much about how ChatGPT or LLMs in general work and try to figure out the algorithm or how to do a listicle or whatever and so on. Start by having the basic and the foundations, and then figure or like worry about the other thing later. It's like trying to manipulate the algorithm or maybe speculate in it is not a good thing. Like start with the basic stuff. Does this page have the info that the user are searching for? And if it does, if it's good enough for Google, it will definitely also be good enough for LLMs. So I would just focus more on the basics in this case. And maybe if you want to do something in terms of speculating or maybe optimizing towards that, maybe go ahead, type some searches in within your industry, see what Google AI Overview, for example, shows. Like the old-time skyscraper technique. You just look at who's there, who's actually being mentioned. How does that content look like? How is it structured? Like, is there some similarities in this case? Is there something I can understand from this? And then maybe try to replicate a little bit the same setup. But it doesn't require for you to only focus on that part, especially given that it's such a small part of search.
Mm-hmm. So basics, yeah.
Great answer. And again, we're back to the thing about, is GEO a new thing? And do we have to completely change our way of working? I mean, my my way of working will not change in 2026. I'm a huge fan of Korai, the Turkish SEO. I think, I mean, you love Charles Float. He's a great guy. I would say anybody who wants to take a next level SEO course should buy Korai's course about topical mapping. It's really where I come from a world where I was raised by Brian Dean and Backlingo and all these different link building tricks and everything you could do, right? Korai, it's a completely different approach. It's like thinking like an engineer, and I'm a marketer, so it's hard. But I'm thinking like a Google engineer in the way you want to structure your website. And actually, what he says in his 90 videos in this course, he repeats himself. He's very consistent all the way through. It's hard to understand sometimes because it's a completely different language. But he says nothing is coincidental. That means that actually you have your structure. You understand what is your core concept, what is your outer context on a website. A digital dictionary is maybe way past your outer context of a website. That's one thing. You really understand how should you structure your website, and then on the page level, you also want to understand what should my H tags be? How clear should they be for the search engine to make sure that the cost of retrieval is low? How should I make sure that I use active voice? I don't have any ways that it's complicated for the search engines to understand what this page is about. All my H tags, there's a structure in them. We're going from the macro context of this page is about this, but I want you to go on into a micro context of this is what I want to sell to you. But everything is structured, internal linking, everything. So again, it depends on what you're going to do with SEO in 2026. It depends on where you are with SEO in 2025. Yeah. And if you haven't studied Korai, maybe if you've just looked at, maybe if you're back at the skyscraper technique from 2015, which worked at that time, and you've been a head CEO somewhere and just been handing tasks to people and don't really know what happens, then this is the way forward. You really need to understand the engineering part of SEO.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah.
And that will change your view on how SEO 2026 should be regarding optimizing for AI. I mean, you can't optimize for AI. It's like herding cats, right? Just trying to. It's complicated.
Yeah. All right. So the last one.
But one important point, of course, is that we will see a search landscape which will be more and more fragmented. Right? There will be more and more platforms now. ChatGPT mentioned, was it Apple Spotlight?
Yeah. I was also surprised about that. And there will be more platforms showing up.
Yeah. Again, this talks about, when we talk about search engine optimization, we categorically think about search engine optimization as optimizing our website, right? Which is, now you had Jesper here. Yes. He probably talked about parasite SEO, like being present on other platforms. You can get a head start as a small company doing LinkedIn Pulse content, for instance. Right? You want a domain rating 92 or something, right? To start off with, right? That's also something that Charles uses in his strategies, ranking for some Indian news site. And again, also, if you are Carlsberg, the place you want to rank for is on Nimli's platform, where people search for beer, right? Because you have more searches on Nimli for beer than on Google, right? And that's people who are ready to buy. So I think this is super important.
But how can you optimize towards that? Can you clarify that a little bit?
Well, actually, I had a call from Carlsberg when I was in another agency, and they said we're not ranking when they show up for beer on Nimli platform, and Nimli's the technology they use is called Solar, SOLR. Yeah, actually, and I don't know how the story ended, but try to search for øl.
And it
You will find out who will be the first ones.
So paid somebody in Nimly.com.
But again, I mean, who are the best paid SEO consultants? People optimizing for Amazon, right? On the internal search engine in there. So internal search on big platforms. I mean, that might as well be your SEO job in the future.
Very interesting.
And you know, you have to stay alert of what is happening with platforms and fragmentation.
This last one sort of like goes in that direction with the zero-click search, essentially. So it says prepare for zero-click default. By 2026, more searches will result directly in the interface without visits to a site. You still win by controlling the narrative. Tactics. Feed data to search engine via schemas, APIs, and structured answers. Make your snippets irresistible with ultra-clear summaries. Build funnels that convert even if the first touchpoint wasn't a click. If you assume traffic is a bonus, not a guarantee, your strategy stays future-proof. But sort of.
My understanding was actually that you know, we're recommending schema for to be visible in AIs, but I understood that actually, you know, the way that, you know, AIs they just break up the text in tokens, right? So they really don't understand the schema that we're feeding them. Again, I would just paraphrase your question actually and saying, what should we as SEOs prepare for when zero search or when zero clicks is a reality? It's definitely not organic traffic from Google, because you just end up in a corner where you're just losing your budget. I think we are talking about some new KPIs when it comes to SEO.
Essentially already answers
visibility, right? But again, they're very fluffy KPIs, I would say.
For example, ranking number 1 on Nimly could be.
Yeah, well, I mean how being visible in AEOs, for instance, and being visible at the top of AEOs, but I mean it's still very fluffy because there's no basket in.
That's the problem, yeah. How can websites essentially survive, right, if they don't get traffic? It's like cutting it dry.
Okay, but listen, there's a very important element to this. Who is this hurting, and who should be concerned about this? If you are within transactional searches, like purchase searches, then it makes no sense that there will be a zero-click default. Like if you want to buy some red shoes, then you can't just end up at Google search. You need to go to a website to buy it at, unless you're actually searching on ChatGPT that integrates with Shopify or whatever. But whenever we're talking about the searches on Google, you need to divide that into two main things. I know everybody talks about like what is the search intent and so on, navigational, branding, whatever. Basically, you can divide this into two things. You have the information, or somebody searching for some information, or somebody wants to buy something, right? If you want to be very simple in this case. Now, who is hurting with the new AI overview is the same websites that was hurting 5 years ago, 8 years ago. If you search for what is weather in Malaga, for example, it shows you directly on the Google overview. It's taken from AccuWeather, and it shows you directly there. That was the problem before AI. That is still the problem. That will be still a problem in the future. So whatever is zero-click default will be based on informational searches. And let's face it, how much are those value for you as a website that wants to sell something or convert something, other than you may lose the cookies that you can use for remarketing purposes, for meta and so on. You're not going to hurt that much, obviously, if you are within transactional. So I don't see a scenario where you lose traffic to AI if you are, for example, e-commerce site. Where you will lose traffic to is the Google shopping listings. You will lose to the product listings shown, and obviously the normal Google Ads search results and so on. Those are the things you should be more worried about, because that hits the CTR significantly more. So I, as a business owner myself, for the customers that are dealing with transactional searches, I don't see AI being a showstopper. I don't see the zero click being an issue because it doesn't necessarily impact, because you need to go past Google in order to land on a website to purchase something. So regardless of how many zero click and there are, you still need to go to a website unless Google somehow magically do the conversion on Google itself. And I don't see that happening. So I'm not that worried about when it comes to transactional searches. But when it comes to informational searches, oh yeah, big issue. But that has been the case for many years. It's not just, I mean, you also see we go back to 2015, where Google was showing from hotel sites, prices from hotel sites. They were showing prices on plane and so on, showing it directly on search. This is an old issue.
It featured snippets as well, right?
Yes, exactly.
Running through the CTR.
Exactly. I actually made a search for your website that ranked on the future snippet, and I'm like, okay, in that case, this is it was, I can't remember the informational search term I used, but that is gonna hurt. But when you actually want to buy something, you need to go to a website, so you need to go past that. And the the transactional searches, I don't think that's gonna have that big of an impact for the AI overview. Yeah.
But there is, when I'm talking about KPIs and SEO budget, it's because to rank for transactional searches, you also need to do the outer context, saying you need to do the informational searches as well. You need to have this topic cluster, which covers all of this, because Google are looking for domains where they can save on budget. And the idea of not getting clicks for outer context content, that you need to argue to your client or to your boss that we are not, the reason we're building all this outer context content, there's a reason for this. We want to rank for the transactional content, but of course, before we could report on clicks for all of this type of informational content, and that's not going to happen in the future. So that's where I just see there's a communication challenge here for SEOs.
Reporting issue or reporting challenge on how is the investment on that part is gaining, because you need the informational content in order to support the transactional, the landing page, the category pages, and so on. But you can't really give a specific ROI on the informational content on your website, the blog, for example. You can't really justify the spend on it, the resources on it, because you can really see the clicks, but maybe they are actually shown. So I understand what you mean there.
And maybe it's just easier to put all that spend into Google Ads instead.
Yeah. No,
just save some money here, just put into ads. But of course, that's I think that would be the wrong direction to go in. I mean, you just need to be aware of what is serving you this informational content. And again, also, if we want to make sure that that people are buying in our shop, sometimes it requires more than one touch point. It requires that they're educated about the solution, right?
Yeah. I have a question. Do you think in the future we're going to see, for example, a function in Google Search Console, and maybe Google, this is a good idea for you. In Google Search Console, there will actually be a tab that's called like AI Overview, and showing you which terms you're actually shown for, like get the impressions on, but not necessarily the clicks on.
Well, Ahrefs sort of does that.
Yeah, what Ahrefs? I mean, we want it from Google. Give.
So instead of, you would count clicks and
No, I mean,
impressions, like AI impressions.
Yeah,
sort of.
for example, let's say there's a search. Your website is shown in the AI Overview, and you don't necessarily get the click, but you get the impression, right?
Well, I mean, Google has just been removing data from us for the last many years, so I don't think that's not going to happen. I don't think so.
We got annotations recently.
That's a new feature.
That's true.
Something new, at least, too.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm more curious about the long term regarding sending out your agent to search for you and do your shopping. I don't, we always exaggerate the timelines, but at some point it will probably come. I don't know. Maybe that's a question for later, but that could mean something for changes with search.
So you don't think that this AI thing is as you call in Danish, en døgnflue, flavor of the month, like AMPs, the Google Plus, all of this. You think this is a permanent thing?
No,
this is not going to fade out at any time.
It's a permanent thing, for sure. But I was actually I was actually booking a car repair shop, just sending out an agent on my behalf, and I thought, oh man, that's easy. That's what I want to do in the future. But then again,
would you trust it? Seriously, would you actually trust somebody or something to take your credit card, swipe it, and purchase something on your behalf?
Yeah, I mean, it had found a time for me, and then I could go in and put in the credit card details. But it had done all the work for me, looking for dealerships in the city. I think it's something we get used to at some point, Mohammad. I think it's just we're like the first generation. We're the
dinosaurs,
the crash test dummies here. We're the ones who are going to test us. We will see. I mean, there's so many guesses out there. I think it's right now it's more about focusing on what do we have in front of us, and then be aware that lots of things are happening and they're happening very fast. But I think we also tend to exaggerate how quickly that users change, right? I mean, it's not like people are jumping into AI mode now because it's there. You have people who have used to handling Google in one way the last 25 years. We have to. I'm teaching people in AI, so CEOs who are in between jobs. And when I look them over the shoulder using Google, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident that there's not any drastic things which are going to change right away, because I think we as digital marketers, we are at a different level. We have to be a little bit more at the forefront of what's happening, and it's good to see what you can say, common people, normal people going on Google.
All right, great. Okay, so you've developed the SEO strategy and you've named it the T method. Can you explain what makes it special and why you encourage SEOs to use it?
Oh, yes. I mean, T stands for transcription method, and it's based on a personal need. It's based on the need to build content as a hybrid between AI and myself, right? Because on one side, with AI, you have the young guns building things automatically without any human in the loop. And on the other side, you have maybe traditional marketing people who've spent 20 years and can't get out of their daily routine, but it's just too slow. So the T method was actually a way to make sure that we could actually do scalable content with the human quality. And what I discovered was actually that and I don't know if you guys are doing content, but usually
a little bit.
Yeah. Well, when I'm doing content, I'm usually looking at the top 3 in Google. What have they written about? It's very much text to text approach. It's like what already exists out there, and what can I bring to the table? Whether it's my tone of voice, brand, extra updated content, whatever, and then I can beat the opposition. But what I found out was actually that the real training data, the real rack here, was actually those billions of YouTube videos out there, the 4.5 million podcasts that you can actually download from podcastindex.org. So that's a very cool website for anyone out there, podcastindex.org. And you can use that as your training data to make your text content much more scalable and much more quality. So that's basically the T method. And the T method is, of course, a step-by-step method to actually go from writing about a topic to just do the best content on the web, 800 words article in less than 1 hour. with all the human edits and whatever you have. And I think that was fine for my project to do that.
Basically, what you're doing is you want to write an article. You find either a podcast or you find a video. You download that, you transcribe it, and then you implement the knowledge from that into your content and enriching this a little bit more, right?
Yeah, there's an important step here, and that is actually to have a fixed structure first in place.
Yeah.
And then you start to fill out the blanks in the structure, because you don't want the AI to go haywire. You want to make sure that it stays with the structure that you've decided upon, which is also, you can say, the structure that was taught by Korai. I mean, it's not the only one, but having the structure in place first is great. And that's, of course, based on who's my competition, what else can I bring to the table. And there you start with your training data, which can be audio and video, basically. Yes.
But doesn't that conflict with the EEAT? Like, is this essentially knowledge from you, or is it knowledge from others? How does Google differentiate? Because I can take, let's say, Korai, I can take all his videos or podcasts, everything here, basically download it, transcribe it, and maybe include it in my own articles, for example. But is that really me that is doing the recommendation, or is it actually him? Am I plagiarizing a little bit, or how is the differentiator here? How does Google know whether this is actually an authority behind this content, or does Google even know this, or that this is something gotten from somewhere else or somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, it would be really sad to just take somebody else's work. And of course, there is a glimpse of that in the T method, that you actually, you're using some podcast knowledge for your work. But again, it depends also, of course, how much you use the content, because there are a lot of facts in podcasts. Like, if I just, in order for it not to be too abstract, for this project, it was about Danish wine. So I had to write an article about a Danish vineyard somewhere, right? And maybe I visited the vineyard and taken some photos and all this, but I really didn't have a lot of knowledge about it. And then, of course, I can look at the articles written and I can mix it together again, and it will be like the same soup. However, suddenly you find a podcast with like a 1 hour, 2 hour interview with the winemaker on the vineyard. So suddenly, when I write the story about the vineyard, I can actually take a lot of facts from that podcast and bring it into play. So these are like facts. This is like when was it established? Why was it established? How many acres, I think, of land? How many plants? What are the different plants, etc. And actually, even the winemakers' preferences, like when should we harvest, what's the best grape, whatever. All of this I can actually use as the fact part. I do also put in quotes from the winemaker sometimes, and I refer to the podcast as I don't link out. That's
no, fair enough.
I mean, I don't link out, but I still quote them if there's something which is like particular for them. But I think I see it a little bit as just as with music, it's a little bit of standing on the shoulder of giants. It's like Oasis sounds like the Beatles, but it's not the Beatles. It's still what I want to get out of it. But I'm just using that training data, which is actually nobody's exploiting that today. You can always run it in real time and translate it and use a Loom as a video. I mean, that's a very long process. But here I found a method to actually download the podcasts locally. And now, I have a course on this, but I'll give you a great tip. You can actually take the podcast file, put it into Notebook LM, and you will get the transcription in seconds. You can do the same thing, just inserting the URL of the YouTube video into Notebook LM, and you can get the transcription in seconds. So that's really crazy.
That's very nice. That's good.
I have a question. So imagine I am the hairdresser down the street, a local hairdresser, and I hear about this T method, and it sounds exciting, and I want to do SEO. I want to get better rankings on Google, be mentioned, and so on AI, the different platforms. Is this method for everybody? That is the first question. And the second question is, if I am the local hairdresser, how would I go about it with this method? Is it possible for me to actually start with it, or do you need to have a certain level of knowledge or base or starting point?
I mean, the local hairdresser would probably just go in and fight for their Google Maps placement. I think that's where you have to be. But of course, it could be a hairdresser who has a special style, and you need to have this content universe where you have to explain about the stylings, etc. And it might be that the T method makes sense in that place, right? So of course, if there's a new hairstyle from the US and you have somebody on YouTube explaining it, she could use the T method for this.
Okay.
Yeah. But of course, it depends on first of all, what business am I in? Do I have to produce content? Do I have to produce content at scale? Do I have to produce content, quality content at scale? There's a lot of questions to ask before you actually go into the method. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like you need to be a certain level. Everybody can actually gain something from this or use this in a way. And you basically just need to have a strategy about what type of content you want to do, and then use this T method.
I mean, basically, your team could go in and say afterwards, okay, create a blog post from our interview.
Yes.
Right, and get a transcription of this. Mix it together with other. Maybe if we're talking about a topic, they could actually mix it together with somebody who's done a guide about the same topic, or whatever. I mean, so the T method could also be used internally when Mohammad doesn't have time to do the blog post himself.
Okay, then let's move on to the final section here. This one is called overrated, underrated. I just come up with
is it persons?
Topics?
Is it
not only persons? Okay. And you have to tell me whether you think it's overrated and underrated.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Mohammad.
Let's go.
Neil Patel. Overrated or underrated?
Underrated. Depends. I mean, if you're talking about his capability as a businessman, underrated. If you're talking about what he has done maybe in SEO over recent years and so on, maybe a little bit lacking, but definitely underrated. This man knows more than most people think. So definitely underrated. Yeah.
What's your impression?
It's like the sixth biggest agency in the world, right? Yeah. So in that way, you're underrated. But I've always felt he was overrated. I think he was one of the most prominent in my early days, and I was like, okay, this guy is stealing from everybody, or he's talking nonsense. So definitely, as an SEO, I would say overrated, but as a businessman, underrated. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I gotta respect that. Okay, so Reddit SEO. We can switch. So Christopher,
underrated,
underrated,
and I would say I haven't focused on Reddit SEO. I mean, of course, in Denmark it's not so prominent, but if you're in the US, then it's definitely one of the most important parasite SEO sites, and it's also again, it's actually quite trustworthy.
It is
to look at the forums, and I think you can, as an SEO. I've seen some cases you can really go in and get some referral traffic from there.
There's also this joke, right? That if you want a good search, you search for something and then it doesn't pop up, and then you search for the same thing but add Reddit at the end, and then you actually
always find
the answer that you're actually looking for.
Definitely underrated. I just actually earlier today, I looked Reddit up in Ahrefs, saw the traffic. It hits 1 billion monthly traffic. So yeah, I would say underrated.
Fair.
Yeah.
So schema markup. Underrated, overrated.
I was underrated. I recently read a post coming from Google. I don't know if it was John Willer or whoever it was, saying that it doesn't matter, or you shouldn't focus too much on it, or they don't put too much weight on it. I definitely disagree in this case. Schema is always good to have, and it's a good way to structure and actually tell not just search engine, but in general LLMs as well. What is the content on your website? And to have a good schema markups on your website, definitely needed. So yeah, underrated.
Yeah, I would also say underrated, and especially for big e-commerce shops or even small. Especially for e-commerce, it's underrated. I think there are some misunderstandings regarding how LLMs read schema.
It's dividing the SEO community.
To be continued.
To be continued, yeah. Okay.
But underrated.
Yeah.
Great. So Parasite SEO, underrated, overrated. Christopher.
I was actually ranking for 2 minutes for number one as for Parasite SEO by doing a LinkedIn Pulse article about it.
That's great.
And what happened? Only 2 minutes.
Well, for a couple of days, I was going to do a LinkedIn Live about Parasite SEO, and I thought it could be fun to see if it worked. It's underrated. Again, I'm not doing a lot in this actively. I would really love to, but it's now I'm visiting a lot of international SEO conferences, and Parasite SEO is really talk of the town. Still, in Denmark, we're not talking about it enough. So in Denmark, it's definitely underrated.
Cool.
I'm gonna go on the other direction and say, don't do it.
It's overrated.
Controversy here.
Yeah. Mainly because most of the time, when you're doing SEO, you want to build a brand. You want to do some sustainable work, right? Parasite SEO is something that works short time. In some cases, a little bit longer time, but is mainly for like crash and burn or some like hit and run and so on. I wouldn't bet my entire SEO strategy on it. I think it's very effective, obviously. I see Charles Float, he's like showing some posts on his LinkedIn, showing casino affiliates that are actually gaining top rankings on doing Parasite SEO. It definitely is a real thing. And if you want to do hit and run or affiliate or something that is not necessarily brand building, then yes, it's underrated. You should definitely do more. And I agree in Denmark, we don't do enough in this case. But as a SEO strategy for your business, I would definitely say don't do it. It's not long lasting. I don't think it's long lasting. And I don't think you're going to get the best solution of it long term.
I mean, it's got a very ugly name.
It does. It really does,
It could be called digital PR as well. If you,
some people call it that.
In a good way. I mean, I think still, doing articles on LinkedIn Pulse makes sense. And also sometimes if you really want to do listicles or, the top 10 SEOs in the world, and you put yourself in there together with 9
That's a good idea.
Of the best ones, you don't want to do it on your own website. You can do it on LinkedIn, for instance.
That's good.
So, and make sure you're the number one.
But again, also, Microsoft owns part of OpenAI, and I think it was Torbjørn who was actually talking about, maybe that was also an idea of writing on something on LinkedIn, because it was a bigger chance that it was used as training data in the LLMs, and when they were going to talk about the best SEOs in the world, that could be a way to use Parasite SEO for this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So what about all these GEO agencies or peer and LLM agencies? Is that overrated or underrated?
Talk about crash and burn.
Huh? Yeah. Overrated. Overrated and overrated. We don't have to.
They're going to do crypto next year. Some of these guys with the caps the other way.
The marketing bros,
Marketing bros,
expensive SEO software. So like there's softwares like the link research tool, SEO Clarity is paying, like $4,000, $5,000 a month for a single SEO tool.
Way too much.
Overrated?
Yeah. I mean, you should never. I have the same attitude towards SEO tools that I also have towards single links that you can buy or acquire or something. it is just way too much. You can get a lot of the same data, maybe bundling a couple of smaller, maybe more reasonable prices tools, as well as you can get the same effect by getting links from smaller websites and so on. I would never pay so much for SEO tools. I think it's definitely overrated.
Yep.
It's just hustling people.
And you?
Pure and simple.
Christopher?
Yeah, I'm not one who buys very expensive tools, so I haven't been really. So it's not fair for me to say that they're overrated. Maybe there's something which which works, but it seems overrated. I mean, I've looked some people over the shoulder. I also remember that in Group M we used a Bright Edge at that time. That was a pretty expensive agency tool, and it was just like, okay, what the hell is this? So yeah, my experience with it is that it's overrated, but maybe there's something fantastic out there. Who knows?
Core Web Vitals, overrated or underrated? And I think Christopher?
I mean, you can still have red colors and everything still works for you, right? So maybe you can use it as an indication of something. But I would probably say overrated then. But again, it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard. I mean,
I'm a technical SEO mainly. So Core Web Vitals is like.
Yeah, but I mean,
but you're right.
But if you see a first contentful paint, which is red, are you directly going to do something about it?
Not necessarily, no.
No, okay. So it can misguide
and
you.
you're definitely right that like sometimes the number one site on Google is actually has terrible Core Web Vitals, but people are still visiting and whatnot. So it's just like one of many factors essentially. Yeah. But it hurts to say overrated.
It does.
Oh man,
You started this.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted. I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Now you go.
No, I would say it depends. If you are a small website, then it's overrated. If you are a very huge website with a lot of traffic, then the smallest change in Core Web Vitals can have a significant impact. So it depends on your
the size.
Yeah, the size of the website.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, I agree actually on this one. You know, head to head, big sites.
Yeah.
This is one of the key differentiators.
But Amazon had a survey or a study of this, I think, many years ago, showing that every time they improve some scores and load time, but just by 1 second, they would like make a significant
Walmart.
Yeah. Or Walmart. There was definitely some correlation in that case. Yeah. But if you are a
hairdresser,
if you're a hairdresser on the corner, as long as your website is loading fast enough on mobile devices, especially on 4G and not necessarily 5G, if it's loading fast enough and it's loading properly, I wouldn't say that is the differentiator. But if you are Walmart, if you are very big websites, then those can have significant impact, definitely.
Now the final one, overrated or underrated? Human content writers. That's a tough one.
No,
I underrated.
Underrated human content writers.
I would say because again, but you can say content writers stuck in the past. That's probably overrated. But I think still there's a human loop when you're working with AI to create content. But again, it depends. It's also the context of what kind of content you're going to build.
Yeah,
I mean, in the good old Group M days, we had somebody sitting doing category pages 3 weeks. I mean, maybe that's there we have it's definitely overrated, right? But there is a human in the loop, I would say, to quality content.
I agree. Yeah, to some extent.
Again, it depends. I hate these.
It's a valid open. Valid answer.
Prices. All right, so let's break it down. If you are writing about some facts, some things that are not arguable, then in some cases AI can actually write better than a human. But if you're actually giving advice or you're actually giving a point of view, then it becomes much more live. It must become more engaging when it comes from a content writer. But not all content writers are good at writing. I mean, if you look at the perspective of misspelling, grammar mistakes and so on, humans tend to do that even more than AI. I would say it really depends on the topic that you're writing and whether you're writing and like you're speaking to the user. Or you're actually stating some facts. So if you're stating some facts about the vineyards, for example, there are some non-debatable fact, then AI can do that much better, most likely much better than humans do. But when you're speaking through text to a user, then there's no question you cannot replicate that. No matter how much you do the prompting, how much you do the tone of voice and so on, you can't replicate it in the same method. We actually did a setup for a customer because we wanted to give a quote on doing content. We start now presenting two type of content. One is both are written by AI, but one is lightly edited from straight out of the box, and the other one is strongly edited by human. So we actually present those two things and say this is the cheaper price you can select, or this is the better price. So I would say it depends on different scenarios. So neither or.
That's a
Diplomatic.
diplomatic. Yeah. Thank you very much, Christopher, for being here.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Mohammed. That's the end of the.
Yeah, thanks.
session.
It was great fun, guys. Good questions. Also, some questions which were dubious. We'll talk about that.
Part 2 coming up. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.